beat is solid, like a rock. Gives a. I was about to cuss. I can't cuss.
Oh my goodness, they're going up 2020!
Bro, whoa, they actually accepted that. This team will bounce back. It won't be because of Jared Goff that they don't bounce back.
Good enough for Detroit, Jared.
I will tell you that right now.
Dan Campbell's decision making. And for most people that want to question, I will say this: your team's probably not in this spot. So I'll just throw that out there. This team isn't going anywhere, and they're in a spot that we're going to see them for a long time.
Oh my goodness, man. We're back. Let me get the sound. Let me make sure the sound's going. Test. Yeah, we sound good. Let me get the beat rolling. Not that loud. Just a little bit of a beat. Different beat. My man Ryan's in the building. Ryan, what's up, man? I saw you commented on both of the intros I dropped. The first one, I put it out. I was not supposed to post that one. I'm like, dang, I already posted that. So I just pulled it down real quick and put the other one up. But I see you, Ryan. How you doing? My man, God Alex is in the building. Wake Up Pride, episode 2. Okay, so I read through the comments. Good morning, DODcast. I read through the comments. Like, some of these are fire. All right, I haven't made my decision if I want to change it yet, though. But if I do, I'm probably just going to update that intro. I'm just going to update it. I'm going to change, like, the little name at the end. I just haven't decided what we're going to go with there. My man John's in the building. What's up, John, Tony, Thomas, morning. Okay, so today, man, like, I don't know if this is going to be as long as it was yesterday, where we went kind of like an hour and a half. I don't know. I guess it just depends. But today, I was trying to figure out what to do. And yesterday, we brought up the defensive line rankings that PFF put out. I just brought it up. I didn't really dive into it. I mean, I told you guys where they were ranked. And then today, I realized that they've been doing this for a lot of positions. Now, most of these are just individual players. So, like, what I've seen is, like, cornerback. They'll put, like, maybe the top 32 cornerbacks and they just rank them. So that doesn't mean that every list is actually going to have a lion in it. And then the other thing is they have a few unit rankings. I think they're, like, running back, defensive line. I think there's one more, maybe receiver room. So they did those as well. So we're going to react to everything that they have posted so far. Mainly, we're going to focus on the quarterback position. Okay, you guys know how that goes. Now, I am planning on so I was like, yo, should we do this live today where I basically do my rankings? No. Well, maybe. Look, I'm going to save it for now. We could talk through it. But I was talking with Rad, and I think we're going to have some of these shows where they maybe alternate, or maybe we just do one in the morning, one at night. That way we could potentially get guests on, because I think for most people going later in the day just works better. But I do want to save that, because I think when Rad hops on, that's going to be like the main first thing that we do is rank quarterbacks, just because it's the perfect way to get Rad back into the mix, is to rank some quarterbacks and see where Kyler Murray's at. So I'm going to save that. I don't want to just do that right away by myself. We'll save that. But today, mainly the reaction side of things. Now, before we get into the reaction side of things, let me also pull this. So we had the NBA draft last night. Look, I didn't know who the heck was getting drafted. So, like, quick side note, I didn't know anybody, really. I really didn't know anybody. I was following for the Wizards specifically, and they were making some moves. I don't know. It seemed like it was kind of hype. Like, I felt like I was watching like a Brad Holmes kind of draft. Like, yo, we traded for that 14 pick. I was like, hey, they moved up a couple spots. Like, all right, the Wizards out here working. I didn't know who they were drafting. I was like, these dudes could be terrible, but it's fun to watch. And then I guess today's day 2. So Pistons fans, I'm sure most of you guys are. Let me know. Are you guys hype about the pick? I don't have a take on it. I don't have a take on it. I was just like, okay, I don't know who that dude is. Are we set? Like, I was just wondering, like, I guess it's different than the NFL because you don't have as much to work with. Like, I always wondered, like, okay, you're sitting at 5. I think consider, like, maybe just like, hey, let's just go to get the 3 or something. You know, let's just see if we can move a couple spots. Like, I don't know how that works. I feel it's more difficult in the NBA because then you're probably just giving up a player. But then the salary cap thing, where you're giving up like your second round pick, you only got 2 picks. So who do I don't know. Do you think we have one of the best defense? Oh, by the way, and if you are listening, the first episode hasn't come out podcast version. They may both eventually. So I do want to keep that focus here. If you are listening there, how you doing? We're also live on the YouTube channel, so there are more graphics, things like that, but I'm going to do my best to kind of just talk through and make it make sense. Do you think we have one of the best defense in the league from Arnold and Rakestraw? So because of those two, I would say no, not because of those two. If they have one of the best defenses in the league this season, it'll be because DJ Reader is here for a majority of the season, in my opinion, along with Ali McNeil, and it'll start up front. Like Marcus Davenport gives us a healthy 10-plus games. DJ Reader is out there. All right, he's actually on the field, because when he's on the field, he's really good. If those two things happen, I think the Lions defense, I don't know if they'd be top 10 just because of that alone, because their cornerback room needed a lot. But I think we kind of know what Carlton's going to give you, and that's a plus cornerback, especially against better receivers in the NFL. He's still going to give you a plus cornerback. And then you have Brian Branch, who's already proven himself. The safety position, whether he's there or at safety, I feel great about either of those. So it's mainly going to start with the front, because then I know exactly what I'm going to get. But I am excited about the quarterback position. You guys know I'm hype about those dudes. But I know exactly what I'm going to get from the defensive line as long as it's healthy. So I really don't care about round 2. Just want to see where Brownie goes. I mean, yeah, that's the hype, right? They could just put that on the picture, like, hey, where does Brownie go? That's why people are watching round 2. I mean, I didn't know anybody in round 1, so I'm not going to know nobody in round 2. Actually, there may be a chance I know more guys in round 2 because, you know, I watch college basketball a little bit. See, that's the thing now. The NBA draft, I mean, these aren't even guys playing in college. I don't know any of these people. So this actually might be better for me. This might be my wheelhouse. I remember a couple years ago when the Pistons were making the pick second round, I know who those guys were. Didn't know who the first round picks were. I guess this is how it goes. Before we get into this, though, before we start diving into these graphics, shout out to everybody that's here. I wanted to show you guys, and I think this would be fun. I think it'd be fun to do these live going forward. Maybe not like today, but basically we do like mock drafts for fantasy football. I'm terrible at fantasy. Y'all know that. If you know, you know. Okay, that's not my thing. But I think we're going to have a fantasy league on Bleacher Report. Hopefully, that's the hope. We also did our mock drafts on Bleacher Report over there. And I wanted to show y'all the results. Give me some feedback, okay? I want to hear the early grades. I thought it was fire. Like, I came in with a plan, kind of went off the rails a little bit, kind of like, you know, got caught up in the moment, just started drafting players that maybe I didn't intend to. But when it was all said and done, I was like, yo, I got heat here. But usually I feel like I drafted heat. Then my team comes back with the projection to be 0-10. So I don't know. This just may not be heat. It just straight up may not be heat. So this is my fantasy football mock draft that we did through Bleacher Report. Let me see if I can zoom in on this because this is hard to see. And if you're not seeing this right, oh, this is actually awful to try to look at. This thing is not getting big. It's getting actually smaller as I click on it. That's good. Okay, great. So I'm going to read through it. Real quick here. As you can see, we have Anthony Richardson. Everything that I watched was like, yo, if you're going to take a quarterback, take Anthony Richardson because that guy could be like the best quarterback. I'm like, all right, bet. I think rushing matters a lot. By the way, we speak about rush. Oh, my. Yo, stay tuned, bro. This is about to get crazy. All right. I was getting heated reading these articles. Okay. So this is going to be a lot of fun to react to these. Trust me, this is going to be a lot of fun. I got a lot of things, especially for that quarterback spot. But I took Richardson because, you know, that's what everybody's saying. Took Kamara. Okay, I missed our running back. I'm not going to lie. I was going to my plan was to take a running back somewhat early. I didn't do that. Okay, so I kind of just like fell into Alvin Kamara. I love the Blake Corum idea. Would not have been running back 2 if I would do it again. I would have like flipped that with something. Maybe I wouldn't have taken 3 state receivers because I went Stephon Diggs first. Then I went Amon-Ra St. Brown, then Stephon Diggs, then I went Cooper Kupp. It's a fire room though. And I feel like Cooper Kupp's getting slept on a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I took him too early. And then I took Kyle Pitts because, look, I look at it like this. Okay, this is how I look at it. Kirk Cousins, whether or not the tight end actually works out, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But when he was with Minnesota, they always seem to want to have a big-time tight end there. You know, they added Irv Smith Jr. Didn't necessarily work out, but they wanted to have that. TJ Hawkinson was really good with them. I just feel like tight end is where he's going to be really comfortable. And I know Pitts is kind of he just plays receiver a lot. But the talent's there. And I think Kirk Cousins is a massive upgrade. And then Brock Bowers, who I think Brock Bowers is essentially a receiver that's going to be listed as a tight end, I think, according to like fantasy things. So I think it actually adds a lot of value. And then I wrapped it. I got Baltimore's defense. I think they have an elite defense. Lad McConkey, okay, because that whole receiver room is a disaster, and I don't trust Quentin Johnston. I'm not going to draft guys I don't trust. I don't trust Quentin Johnston. Jake Ferguson, that was kind of like the one reliable tight end because I took the young guy. Jared Goff, the GOAT, obviously, he's probably going to be my starter. I'm thinking later in the season. This is how I broke it down. He's my starter for about the first 14 games. Then when the Lions sit everybody for the last 3 games because they have a bye and they don't need to play, and it's like, yo, we already locked up the NFC, that's when Richardson will step in. He'll cook in those games because I can't have Goff just sitting because we've already clinched the playoff first. So that's my plan there. Chase Brown for just some sort of insurance at running back, I guess. We'll see if there's upside. And then Cortland Sutton and Josh Downs. I think Josh Downs is money. I can't believe I got him this late, but he kept falling. So I'm like, I can't take him early because I'll look crazy. But he did keep falling. I think the way that people hype up Tank Dell, I look at Josh Downs like that. Like, if Richardson's really going to pop, Josh Downs is going to be a huge reason. He was awesome last season. And I also probably have some bias because I was at so many Colts games. And then Cortland Sutton, just because look at the receiver room, man. I mean, if their draft pick is who they think he's going to be, right? Like, guy's name is slipping my mind right now. I cannot. The quarterback from Oregon, if he's who they think he could be and he's going to step in day one to be ready, Cortland Sutton's arguably their best receiver. So all he has to do is be healthy. That's it. And I took him around 13, so I'm cool with that. I don't know if Richardson is going to be healthy all season. That's absolutely true. Absolutely true. That's my like flip side concern. I'm like, okay, part of it, I like it because I'm like, hey, down the road, he could be awesome. The flip side is he may not be healthy all season. That's very possible. We saw that like on and off all last season. But I got Jared Goff, so I feel good about it. Blake Corum, too, is running back 200. Okay, so everybody likes Kyren Williams. Okay, I've talked to people that are like, yo, take Kyren early. And when I first heard that, I was like, what? Take Kyren early? What are we talking? Blake Corum was a beast at Michigan. I think he's going to take the spot over from Kyren Williams. Just straight up. Like, not an injury thing. I just think he's going to become the number 1 back. I think he just becomes the guy there. Again, though, I would have taken running back earlier. I think that's where I maybe slipped up a little bit. I'm interested in where they ranked our linebacker room. So I think linebacker room isn't like a unit ranking yet. We may have to revisit that, but they do have player rankings. It may be a unit. I think it's just player rankings, Thomas, but I'm excited about that one too. I have not looked at that one. Some of these I looked at, some of these I didn't. I didn't look at that because I just want to see if any linebacker came in. Like, does Anzalone get in here? I'd be a little surprised if Campbell did, but maybe if they're just going on upside, maybe he's in here. I take Baker Mayfield over Richardson. Charles, I have reliability. I have Jared Goff, man. Okay? I have reliability. I need upside. Charles, I need upside, man. All right. With that being said, though, thank you guys for looking at it. We can hear some grades in the chat if y'all want to give them. Let's do this. Let's dive into this. We got a lot of these to get through. The quarterback one is going to take the longest. You guys tell me, do you guys want to go quarterback first? Or should we kind of build up to that? I don't know. Let's build up to it. Let's at least start with something else. I'm going to start with the defensive line ranking just because we looked at it yesterday, or at least read it off yesterday. So this one won't take very long. Let's just start with it. This actually goes into the question I was asked earlier about the cornerback position. Can we be a top defense? And for me, I said, hey, if the defensive line is essentially healthy. And because of that, at number 4, they have the Detroit Lions. PFF has our defense line number 4. I actually should have looked back here. I wonder how that like compares to the past. I got to believe it's been a long time since they had the Lions anywhere near this. I'm just going on the top of my head. I could be way wrong. We can Google this at the end. But I feel like the Lions always were ranked really low on the defensive line in the Matt Patricia era. I believe they were consistently really low. And then they added Trey Flowers, and they got like a little bit of a bump, but it was never anything massive. Because I can remember like always looking at these, and there was never like a massive swing. I don't think they were ever even in the top half. So I bet it's been a long time since I don't even know if PFF was doing their thing. I would assume they were doing their thing when like Sue was there and guys like that. I mean, at one point, this is where they would have consistently probably been. And then after that, I don't think they've even been in this conversation since then. So for me, it's pretty cool to see that it's at 4, actually. It's just a lot of it's going to be dependent on health. You can say that with a lot of players. If it's not a super flex or 2 quarterback league, it's not worth playing. Ooh, I don't even know what that means. Okay. I don't know what that means, but I see you. Yeah, the Trey Flowers era was, look, man, we don't got to go down that road. When they added Snacks Harrison, though, if you guys remember, when they added Snacks Harrison from the Giants through the trade for the second half of the season that he was there, I remember that defense was way better, especially at stopping the run. They got a lot better. Then the second season, Snacks Harrison seemingly like fell off, and then the defense kind of fell off along with that, specifically on the defensive line, because then they had Danny Shelton in the mix. But initially, when they added Snacks Harrison, I didn't even know who the guy was. Straight up, I had no idea who Damon Harrison was when we first added him. And I remember the first time that I saw Damon Harrison was on Madden, I think it was right after the deal, like it updated the rosters and Snacks Harrison was like a super high overall. And I was like, oh, this guy's legit. Yo, I took Madden rating. Hey, this dude's legit. Do you see that Madden rating? And what he did, he was awesome for that last, second half of the season. Hey, what a steal of a trade though. Let's give some credit. We've had some bad trade. That was a good trade. That was a good move. Okay. In year 2, after taking the Bucks to the playoffs, I don't know. Look, I'm not mad, and I spilled my water. I'm not mad at you believing in Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. I'm not. Okay, that's the one where I'm kind of back and forth with. I think Atlanta wins that division this year, but it's so popular that part of me is like, yo, you shouldn't have bet against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay did a lot of good things. I know they lost to us both times. They did a lot of good to end last season, including beating the Packers by 2 touchdowns. But I would take the Falcons right now to win that division. Okay, so Lions at 4. For a while, the Lions had Aiden Hutchinson, not much else along the defensive line. Now they will deploy DJ Reader and improved Elaine McNeil along with Marcus Davenport on his latest prove-it deal. So I don't know if they really, when they do these rankings, if they dive too much into depth. I believe that they do. I think they put some emphasis in that because if you look at the Jets, who are at number 1, they say that the Jets have a fearsome defensive line, even with a couple of offseason departures from John Franklin Myers and Bryce Huff. Those were offset, at least in part, by acquiring Hassan Reddick, and could be, we'll see, and could be entirely eclipsed if Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald take steps forward. So I believe that they're looking at the depth maybe just a little bit here. Maybe not extremely deep into the depth. I think they're really focused on the starters, but they may be looking a little bit into the kind of depth that you have. I don't know if they would include like James Houston in this mix. Like, is that something that they would include? He's technically a linebacker, right? But you can kind of include him if you're just talking about guys that get after the quarterback. And then for our depth's sake, right, you're not including Josh Pascal. And I think that there's Marcus Davenport's going to see the field if healthy, but Josh Pascal to me is going to kind of upend some of that role, I think, this year of John Kaminsky. And I think we're going to see a lot more Josh Pascal. We might have to do a Josh Pascal video. I think we're going to see a lot more Josh Pascal than people expect. It's a real reason I didn't think they were going to maybe go edge at one point in the draft at all, and they actually didn't. It's because of Josh Pascal. So I think that would be the one thing that may be getting overlooked here because he's taking steps, and if he has that year 3 jump, he would be the biggest difference maker, regardless of some injuries too, because he's going to be on the field. I'm making a citizen's arrest. Okay. I see you. Yeah, we don't have to go down that path. Okay. Hey, July did his thing with New England, though. Straight out. He did his thing there. Okay. And then they say this is unquestionably the best group the Lions have had around Hutchinson. So that would be 2 years. Who himself racked up 101 quarterback pressures last season, his way to 91.2 PFF pass rushing grade, second most total pressures according to PFF last season. So at 1, they have the Jets. 2 is San Francisco. 3 is Philadelphia, which is just lined up with Georgia guys. And Jalen Carter was awesome last season. He was awesome. And then, of course, us. So, hey, we're in the top 5. Feel good about that. It's honestly, to me, what's huge about this is the fact that we're above a team like Cleveland. When I saw that's what stood out. Having Myles Garrett, Delvin Tomlinson's been huge ever since they made that move. That defensive line, and they've had hits and misses and guys they brought in, though. But to be above a team like the Cleveland Browns and how the way that they're building the defensive line, I think says a lot. So this is huge. It's huge to be at number 4 here. Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully that's how it plays out. But Aiden Hutchinson already proven to be one of the best, so it makes sense to me. I told my son before the playoff game, the Bucks, Baker owes us 2 interceptions. Called it. He did. And then the first one, Steedy Deuce gave him the football back. So I don't even know. Maybe that's not a full interception. After he picked it off, he ran over the sideline and gave it to him. That was a little disrespectful. I actually loved that, though. I love like the crap talk in the background with CD. Like, I loved it. Okay. It's probably a little petty, maybe. I loved it, though, just as a fan. Like, this is kind of cool. And then to have him get that interception, even though it wasn't really on Baker, it was right off of Mike Evans' hands, and it got tipped up in the air, and it was picked off because it was directly off his hands on like a 3rd and long. Still an interception. CD still came up with it. He still gave him the football back. Yeah, I'll take that. Mike Evans torched Cam Sutton again. So right before half, he started to cook. He had like back-to-back big receptions on him. The second one was tricky. 2 big receptions, and it was like they're back in this game. I just love the way Lions responded out of that. That was massive. Being told you're number 4 on paper means nothing. We have 0 proof. Right. But that's the ranking point, man. That's the fun of it. If I just went off of proof, I mean, the rankings wouldn't make no dang sense. But I think in fairness, you got to say it like this, though. Let's be fair like this, though. If you can, there is proof that DJ Reader is a very good nose tackle, right? There's proof of that. We saw it with Cincinnati. I mean, if you want to argue that he's not a good nose tackle, we can go down that path. I don't think there's a good argument for that. But there is proof that he's a very good nose tackle. There is proof that Aiden Hutchinson is one of the best pass rushers in football, statistically or just by watching him. And there's also proof that Aleem McNeil has gotten better every season to the point that they made. And Aleem McNeil is one of the best interior defensive linemen. I think on paper, like you're saying, we haven't seen them next to each other. But to me, it's different than like, okay, quarterback on time with the receiver. You're talking about two defensive tackles playing next to each other. I don't think it's outside of being aligned properly and playing the right gap responsibility. It's not as much as on a string as it is like, okay, these are two good players that you just put together. So I would say almost more to your point, the way that you could say that there's no proof there is if you weren't isolating one group on its own. Like if you, for example, if you put cornerback into that mix, and let's say the Lions cornerback room, I don't think this is going to happen. It was terrible next season. Let's say nobody worked at cornerback, and all of a sudden our sacks are not where they're supposed to be. And people are like, yo, the defensive line is not it. They didn't improve. They were not number 4. But a lot of that had to do with the fact that the back end was so poor that the defensive line was not coming up with production, which I think was a huge factor last season. That's something that I think you could point to and say that that's fair as a whole. As a unit, maybe the overall like raw production isn't there, but I don't think that there's a great argument to say that at very least 3 of those 4 defensive linemen that they've named are really darn good football players individually, and we've seen that in their last season. Marcus Davenport, however, you can have more questions about because it's essentially been over a year. But Marcus Davenport did have multiple great seasons tied together, win on the field. So again, like it's an injury thing there. It just depends if you're looking at it from raw production, like sacks, or if you're looking at it just like an individual as the individual playing well. I think there is some proof to that we have some very good individual players there. Aiden is going to get so much help this year. Gotta love that. I'm nothing. Hey, and again, I think the overlooked thing is Josh Paschal. Like, I'm not saying that they didn't look at it, but I think the overlooked aspect there is Josh Paschal. We can bring up Kaminsky. I feel like I know what I'm going to get out of Kaminsky. That's not a bad thing. You're going to get good out of Kaminsky. But I think it's Josh Paschal. Paschal's taken steps. And if we even go back to what we talked about last year, like these draft picks, when they get into year 3, and he missed majority of year 1, right? 2022, 2023 was a lot better, a lot more against the run. I don't think he'll ever be an elite pass rusher just from what we saw in college. But a player like that, to me, adds reliability. And I think if he continues to step forward, that could be like a difference maker on this front, because you may not get a star number 2. You just will get a really solid, reliable, consistent, really good run defender and a guy that's going to give you some pressures. I don't want to say it's like Marcus Davenport because athletically they're just not the same, if you know what I mean. On paper, best team in the NFL last year. I mean, that's true. I think those are 2 different things. I see what you're saying, though, right? Best team on paper, really, because of what they did, like versus good teams. I mean, regular season, they blew out good teams. That being said, though, I'm not the biggest Lamar guy. We're about to talk about that. That's besides the point. I mean, it's really not besides the point. All right, I see you, though. Okay, so let's do it. Lions will be a top 5 fantasy defense. Takeaways, right? Isn't that what it is? Is it takeaways? What makes you a top 5 fantasy defense? Takeaways, is that the leading factor? Aiden Paschal or Houston going to get more 1v1? And this is something I talked about in the DJ Reader video. I think the emphasis there, because it is true, but I still think the emphasis there should more be on the one-on-one that's going to go to the interior, right? Because if Josh Paschal, from what we've seen so far, consistently got a one-on-one, I wouldn't expect him to dominate the game. That's not to say he wouldn't have occasional wins. That's not to say against guys like Braxton Jones, who's done well with Chicago at left tackle, he wouldn't have some success because he's going to push guys into the pocket because that's what he's good at. I just wouldn't expect him to dominate the game just because he created one-on-ones. James Houston's a little bit of a different animal because as long as you overwhelm a team, like if it's a pass down and Houston's on the field, which that's the spots that he's mainly on the field, if that's the case and you bring 5 or 6 players, you should get one-on-ones. He's probably going to win some of those one-on-ones as we've seen. So that to me would almost be like a situational thing. Aiden Hutchinson, I don't think Aiden Hutchinson, he may see less double teams because I think statistically he's been like leading in double teams he's seen. I think it's going to be hard to pull a ton of double teams away from Aiden Hutchinson. Double teams in the sense of maybe not 2 offensive linemen. That's not really normal to pull a guard and tackle to an offensive lineman. But I think he's going to consistently still see tight ends. He's going to consistently still see a back. I don't think that wide receivers, lining up in an alignment where he slows them off the ball, that I don't think is going to change very much. I think what will change is what the interior opens up. Because this is something I brought up in the DJ Reader video. Maybe we could dive into this more. Could be wrong on this. But I think like what I said in the DJ Reader video was if you have two interior players that can win both one-on-one, to what your point is, Charles, is about who can actually win that matchup. I wouldn't expect Pascal to dominate one-on-one. But DJ Reader and Ali McNeil, either of those guys one-on-one, I expect them to win, honestly, a majority of the time. Like in comparison to a guy like Josh Pascal, I expect those guys to win a lot more because I've seen that. That's where I think the one-on-one comes into play, because this is why DJ Reader is so impactful, because if Ali McNeil takes your center and guard, which a lot of times is going to happen, you're not going to get the tackle, and then, because then Hutchinson's going to be on a tight end or something. If he's going to get those two, now it's about that opposite guard, say the left guard, right guard. Now it's about him being one-on-one, because as long as you're bringing 4 rushers, you can help the edge a lot easier than you can help the interior, right? Like it's way easier to help on the edge outside of just having running back step in than it is to help on the interior, because in the interior, it's like, hey, you take 2 with one, you got a one-on-one with the other. And that's the matchup that you're looking for. Sure, they're going to try to get that a lot with Ali McNeil, but I don't know. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. So that's why I think DJ Reader is going to be so huge, because it's so much to talk about his run defense, but the pass rushes, we looked at the numbers. If you didn't see the video, his pressure percentage versus pass rush opportunities was higher than Ali McNeil this past season. Okay, and I think it's been like that for a few years. Like, that could be wrong, though. At least this past season it was. Okay, so let's now continue. Let's go to a different position group. I'm going to try to roll through these a little bit quicker here. So they have a ton of single position rankings. Quarterback will be the fun one. Some of these I don't even know if the lines are going to be included in. I just don't know if they'll put him in there, but we'll see. Maybe they will. I don't know. I guess it just depends on what position it is, because I feel like you have to have proven something. So we're going to save run it. Let's go to the unit rankings first, actually, because these ones are the unit rankings. Let's go here first. I'm going to start with running back. I did see this one, and okay. Honestly, I'm going to keep track of these. So defensive line, they had us at 4. I want to see where they have us with running back. This is a good start so far. You can see running back rankings. I was always looking for like an explanation of what they're ranking guys on. I don't really know what they're ranking players on, to be honest, because depending on which, chart you're looking at, like, I don't think they're ranking on like future upside. I don't think. I mean, maybe a little bit to like next season, but I don't think they're looking at it for like a long term. Like, who would you draft if they all were available? I don't think they're doing that. And they're not seemingly just going based on what they did last season, because some of these they explain like next season should be better and the supporting cast is better. So I don't know exactly what the criteria is. It feels like it moves a little bit. It can kind of move a little bit just based on whatever they're talking about. We'll talk about that more with quarterback. But they have these little like notes at the top, but they don't really explain the criteria. Regardless, though, PFF's positional rankings roll on with NFL's top running back units. After plenty of shakeups via the draft and free agency, this is how we stack up running back room. So CMC and the Niners are at 1. Not mad at that. I mean, I'm not going to argue this one too much. Christian McCaffrey being the best running back, that's fair. Would you maybe draft him first if they're all available? Maybe not, because of injuries and age, but he's been pretty healthy with San Fran. And he's the best running back when he's on the field from what we've seen so far. Pass, catch, everything. Guy lines up like a receiver. I mean, we talk about our guys doing that. He just does that in their offense. He's changed everything for them. So them at 1, I'm not mad at it. And they consistently had depth, even though they don't always hit. Like they added Davis Price. I don't think he really hit for them, even though it's early. But Elijah Mitchell's been solid, as they bring up here. And then again, they went again this year and took a running back. They consistently take running backs, so they usually have some sort of solid depth. Maybe not elite number 2, but they have solid depth. Amon-Ra's going to win Triple Crown next season. I like that prediction. He's going to get chipped by running backs. Absolutely. When Reader and Aleem are playing, they won't be able to double team Hutchinson. He was second league at pressures. But I think they will be able to double team Hutchinson, even if they're both on the field, because the double team won't come from the guard very often. Like, unless now, if we're saying that he's in the interior and it's a 3rd down and 7 and he lines up over a center, right? Like in those spots, okay, maybe it could be difficult to double team him depending on how many rushers you actually bring. But in that case, you probably won't consistently have DJ Reader on the field. You just want your best pure rushers, like that NASCAR package they talk about. So I still think he will get doubled in those spots because he'll have the tight end and running back to still deal with. The only way that would shift is if the interior was so dominant where they were like, hey, we have to. I don't even know if this would make sense. No, I don't think that would change anything, to be honest. The only way that would shift is if maybe the interior was so dominant or the opposite edge was so good that the running back went that way and the tight end went the opposite way. Because the tight end's not really going to help you unless you're here. Okay, this would be the thing. Sliding protection. That would be the thing that could change. And we saw this at Michigan. Teams would slide protection towards Hutchinson they'd roll their line one direction. That could be something that would change. If you're sliding protection to Aiden Hutchinson, then in that spot, creates better opportunities backside. Sometimes you get on block there. There you could create opportunities. It also can limit what you could do offensively. Maybe that is something to keep an eye on a little bit there. We have to be in the top 5. Still think Charles Harris is but Charles Harris ain't even on the team anymore, man. If I'm not mistaken, Charles Harris is gone. I actually was looking this up yesterday because one segment I was going to think about doing in some point in the future is talking about like free agents that are still available. One guy that I found, stay tuned. We may actually do this. Majay Sanders, keep an eye on him. Majay Sanders was released by Houston. He's been with Arizona. He was a former 3rd-round pick out of Cincinnati. I can remember watching him. I can remember sitting here watching this dude for the draft, man. Oh my God. It's good memories. All right. Tell me if this is weird. All right. Straight out off topic for a second. I have weird, like really good memories of just sitting here watching film with a movie on in the background. I don't know. I think of good times when that's the case. Like, yo, hey, remember draft prep and it was like 10 o'clock? He was watching that movie and then you were All right. Okay. So running back position, they have San Fran at 1. 2, they have Miami, which I don't have a huge issue with. And actually, Miami's done a lot of this is scheme. Obviously, their scheme is built to have just dynamic speed. Maybe there's certain teams that could give that more problems than others. I think that's fair. People will probably bring up the weather thing because, yeah, I think certain weather conditions would slow everybody down. So that could be a factor. So I think there's maybe certain factors that could influence slowing this unit down. We've seen certain games where Achane was a little bit less productive, like the Jets or Dallas. But that being said, like I don't have an issue with it because they added Jalen Wright. They have my guy Chris Brooks, who was super efficient. He's a power back. It works. They're fast. They have the scheme that works. They don't have the best offensive line, but it makes sense. Maybe losing Robert Hunt hurts them. I think they lost Robert Hunt this offseason. Maybe something like that hurts. But I don't have an issue with this. The numbers are there. The thing is, Achane basically had 4 games where he was like 10 yards per carry. Outside of that, he had some, So you kind of just have that trade-off. And then Mostert's been really good for them as well. He's just missed some time. Hey, Dose, I have never subscribed to any channels before. What? You are my first, and you're my favorite Lions channel. Like the new format. Are you serious? You've never subscribed to a channel before? Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, that's pretty darn awesome, okay? I don't know that I've ever heard that before. That's pretty amazing. I appreciate you. Hey, you know what? Let me do this real quick. Just as a little side note. Just a little appreciation real quick for that. This is the wrong video. All right. Let's that's insane. Okay. Yeah, for real. Okay. Then they got us at 3. Now, hey, yo, look at that offensive line though. What? Hey, guys, look at this graphic, though. This is disgusting. That's a lot of green on there, okay? If you're not seeing this, they're just showing the Lions' offensive unit by the PFF grades. Green is like good. Blue is like elite. It's a lot of greens, man. The only one that's not is Jamison Williams. Anyway, though, they got us at 3. Lions led by Dave Montgomery. Jameer Gibbs were top 5 team in rushing touchdowns, 24. Missed tackles forced, 96. Explosive run plays, 55. And rushing grade, 90.2. In 2023. Gibbs is primed to be even better in 2024. So expect Detroit to stay near the top. So you know what's interesting, man? I don't know exactly what week it was. Give you a break. You're 63. Hey, nah, you're good. You're good. I appreciate it. It's amazing. Did you not have an account? Is that what it was? You didn't have an account? I can't remember what else. Oh, so no, what's interesting about this is I don't remember exactly what week it was, but I can remember last season there was a game. I think it was a game. And we broke down Jameer Gibbs. Like we were doing these. Like at one point I just started going specific players and I broke down Jameer Gibbs. And I do remember. It was Baltimore. It was on the road to Baltimore. I think that was like week 5, week 6. That was the game I thought Jameer Gibbs broke out. I thought that was his breakout game. I was like, this is Jameer Gibbs. This is that first round pick we were waiting to see. And it was in a terrible game. So I think it got overlooked because we got destroyed. But I thought that was the game where I was like, this is what he's capable of. Mainly in the passing game. Took the toss to the end zone. But at one point during that season, we talked about like, okay, maybe we need the vision and let's slow down a little bit in certain spots. He's not setting up his blocks maybe extremely well. And coming out of the draft, like I didn't have a super high grade on just his vision in general. So I think some of that was a little bit understandable, at least from what I expected. That being said, though, kicked it on. Raiders game. So it was Baltimore where he flashed, and I thought that was his breakout in a bad game. Raiders, he cooked. And it was like after that transition, and even Dan Campbell, I think, has brought this up. Seemed like it slowed down, was setting up blocks, took off. He was always, and what's so great about Jameer, man, he's always so good, obviously, when the ball is in his hands as a pass catcher. I think we're obviously trying to add more elements to that, running more routes, those kind of things. We're going to see how complex they get with it. That's the capability he has. But it's also the fact that as soon as the ball gets in his hands, the way that he transitions and just makes guys miss that are on his hip is incredible, man. I mean, he does that over and over, man. It's like Godwin on a ×3 or something, like when he would do things like that. So this makes a ton of sense. I think the one thing you could argue for the Lions here, because they went a little bit into depth, I think, with Miami when they talked about them. If you look, they bring up Jalen Wright, so they bring up 3 backs, is that the Lions, I think you can make a case, have a better receiving backfield than they do, than Miami does. I think you could make that case. Some of that's based on potential with Gibbs. He's also more productive than both of those backs. Some of that's playing more. But Gibbs had 52 receptions, 52 receptions for 316 yards versus Mostert, who was at 25 for 175, and Achane, who was at 28 for 193. Now, Achane is going to have more production because he's going to see the field more, so that will probably go up and get a little bit closer to Gibbs. But if Gibbs expands it to more of a receiving role, he may spread that gap. He may make that a little bit wider again. I had to pause on that one. That sounded crazy. Monty, similar stats to those guys. But Monty, I mean, he was a really good pass catcher for us this last season. Reliable. I mean, he was super reliable. So, yeah, let me make sure this is okay here. So, yeah, for me, I don't have an issue with that. I think, and you're also not bringing up Sione Vaki, maybe because he was listed as safety. They didn't really bring him up here. They brought up Wright. They didn't bring up Vaki. Vaki's got the big-time receiving upside in this room. So, okay, I don't have an issue. Top 3. Hey, we'll take it. Running back at 3. Quarterback's going to be fun, man. I'm excited about this. I'm okay with being 3, but I still think we ran the ball better than any team last year. See, and this was something I was thinking about too, is that we don't really have the threat like certain teams do, of course, of our quarterback taking off. So there is a different element. Like you're on Baltimore. You may not have the best running back room, but at the same time, you have a really incredible production consistently with really whoever is there, because your offense, everything completely changes when Lamar Jackson is there. Everything completely changes. So that dynamic does change everything. I can say that I'm not mad at what they did here, though, because keeping San Fran above us is fine. CMC, best back in football. No issue with that. That's fine with me. And in Miami, in their scheme, it works perfectly. So I don't have an issue because this one does feel like they separated team versus players a little bit here, and they just focused on your backs. I think that's kind of the sense that I get, because I mean, you can look at the numbers. But again, would Raheem Mostert be considered one of the best backs in football? I don't know, but he's been there productively. And then Devon Achane, I mean, he's been awesome. So I don't have an issue with this one. We'll take top 3. Gives the young MC. My man, Last Second Sports is in the building. Hey, if you guys don't know Last Second Sports, maybe you just, for some reason, you're like, let me go see what's going on with the Niners. This is the guy to check out. You guys know who Last Second Sports is, man. You know Rad, you know Last Second Sports. Shout out to Last Second Sports, man. How you doing? Man Bear Pig is in the building. It's good to see you, man. It's good to see you. Happy to see you in the chat, man. Hello. Gibbs versus the Raiders. Okay, I already read that one. Yo, Dills GM, bro. All right. I see you. Hey, what's that logo looking like, though? That thing does look a little bit fire, Toledo boy. I don't know what that is. I see you in the 419. Don't know what that logo is, but it looks kind of clean, even though it's very small. I appreciate you, J Mommy. I appreciate you. Okay, so let's move now. Okay, this is a good start. Okay, we're gonna get to the spot here where we're gonna get certain positions that just aren't ranked. I'm pretty sure, but I think there's one more unit ranking wide receiver. I have not seen this one, so we'll get to quarterback soon. That's gonna be the one that we really dive into. Don't know what to expect here. Receiving core rankings. Bears and Texans crack top 5. So just real quick, from reading that headline of just being wide receiver, got to assume tight end is not included here. And I have to assume they're not taking running back into account here. But they didn't really bring that up when they just talked about the running backs. Like, they didn't mention anything about, did they mention anything about Christian McCaffrey as a running back? I don't think that they did. As a pass catcher? I don't believe that they did. Let me see. McCaffrey, Jalen Mills, PFF wins above average. No, they didn't. So maybe they should. We'll see. Maybe they should, though, because they didn't seemingly, maybe they did in their rankings because we were 3. But if they're not taking that into account, it would also make sense on why maybe we don't have the edge over Miami just based on players alone, because they're not taking into account, like, potentially the Lions have a better receiving backfield than they do. So I'm curious to see if they put this in here. My man Joseph's in the building. Quarterback running is a bad thing. Don't necessarily disagree. We're going to get to it. Hey, stay tuned. We're going to get to it. Goff scrambles for a first numerous times a game, usually. Okay. Look, man, the Goff stuff's coming. Hey, look, the Goff stuff's coming. And I'm coming with heat, dog. I'm not playing. All right, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. But we got to knock this out. So let's see. Wide receiver rankings, where are we at? Again, there's really no explanation of why teams are where here, so let's just get into it. PFF offseason positional rankings roll on with the top receiving corps. We're not just talking about receivers. Should have just read this. Includes wideouts, tight ends, and running backs. Okay, so this makes sense then. They're saying that the Lions are the number 3 running back room simply based on their talent as a runner. Nothing to do. Now, maybe pass protection? And this may actually be more. I don't think they care about pass protection straight. I don't think they care. I mean, what we could tell, they don't care. Maybe that's in this. This includes, so, okay, we're going to see how they do this, because if you ask me, I think we did this exercise like last offseason, where if you said, and I heard that, who said this? This was on a podcast. It's like, I think it was a college football coach that was like, yo, just write down a list of your top 5 weapons. Forget the position. Those are the guys that should get the ball the most. In the passing game, for example. So, in a way, it's like, all right, let's forget about the position label. If they stick to the position label, they may have us lower because of what's actually been out there with Jameson Williams, things like that. Like, we're hoping the upside's there. We're excited. But from what's actually out there, there's not a ton to grab onto. So San Fran's at 1. This makes sense. Brandon, Debo, George, McCaffrey, Juwan Jennings. They added receivers this year. They also added dude from A&M, right? Was it A&M? That might be wrong. Ricky Pearsall was awesome in college. I mean, I don't know how many people that didn't like Ricky Pearsall in college. So that makes sense. Miami's also up here. So here they're including Devon Achane, 77.1 receiving grade. Again, it just is a smaller sample size. Tyreek, Jalen Waddle. I mean, the whole offense is speed. So you need these guys to make it elite. And as they showed this lineup, it's like what we talked about yesterday. Their offensive line's not great. They lost their Robert Hunt this offseason. It's not great on paper, but it's the way that they can do things schematically because of Waddle and Tyreek Hill. So I don't have an issue with them being high. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, I thought they were just destroyed by the fact that their offensive scheme was a disaster last season. I don't know what they were doing. They need more creativity in that mix. Saquon Barkley is a nice little throw in there. I'm not mad at that. Chicago at 4 is crazy. Now, this feels crazy. I mean, look, it's a good unit on paper, but this does feel crazy. Bears went from having the least impressive receiving core to one of the most impressive in 2 years. Okay. DJ Moore, according to PFF, was graded as the third best, I believe, receiver against man coverage. So that's understandable based on how they feel about DJ Moore. Don't have a huge issue with that. I don't think DJ Moore is one of the best receivers in the league. Maybe that's because we haven't got to see it because they're a quarterback play. That's fair. He doesn't ever give me the vibe of that. I feel like there's games where I've seen him in slow down. I saw Emmanuel Mosley playing well a few years ago. That was a few years ago. But I'm not mad at them putting DJ Moore. I mean, he's one of the better ones. He's one of the better receivers. Keenan Allen's a dog. That was a huge addition. That comes back to health again. And then Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett. I think that's fine. I don't think that's anything special. I think I've heard about that being special. I don't think it is. And newly acquired DeAndre Swift. You kind of lost me. I mean, you kind of lost me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Like, I could be hating. That's fair. Your first 3 were good. Keenan Allen's an animal. Now, Amik Robertson did a solid job on Keenan Allen. So if we're just looking at our matchup, there's some upside there. Keenan Allen also went crazy against us last season, essentially by himself. He's a really good addition. DJ Moore, top 15, top 10 receiver. Okay. Rome Odunze we haven't seen, but I'm fine with you really liking that piece. But then you go to Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, and DeAndre Swift, and you're trying to like keep that energy, and it's just not there. It's fine. You can give me slightly above average with that group. There's nothing there. There's not much there for me to grab onto. So I feel like this is high. But we'll see who's below him though, because that's what's gonna matter. Yeah, Houston should probably be ahead of them, like straight up. And then, Caleb Williams is gonna make a difference. Laporte is the most valuable tight end in football. And I believe St. Brown is the most valuable receiver in football next to JJ. So I did see the receiver rankings. We're going to have to get through this a little quicker. Oh, these are the receiver rankings. But individually, they had Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think, ranked at 7. They had him at 7, which I think is a fine spot. Because I think if we just took this look, right, if you said, like, line him up, got to draft somebody, that's probably the area he'd go, I would think. I think he'd go above the guy that was at 6, which was Devontae Adams because of age. And Devontae, a lot of that's the situation. That's fair. but I don't think he'd go behind Devontae Adams. That said, though, I think it's okay to have him like borderline top 5 because he just fits better with us than I think he would elsewhere. Like, I think he is a top. This is my breakdown early to see. You go check it out. It's probably still on Bleacher Report. And I had to make a case for why St. Brown is top 5. And I said that he's top 5 for the Lions, maybe not for the league. He's top 5 for the Lions, though. I think for us, he's top 3, top 2, might be the best. He might be the best option for us in the league. I think only other receiver that I can hands down put above him for us, I don't even know if I hands down. I think Tyreek Hill for anybody just changes everything. And I think it's hard to not say Justin Jefferson because he can play everywhere. But for us, very least top 3. Lions offense, tight end friendly. Tight end set record after Hockenson trade. This is true. A lot of touchdowns. Okay. That's what it was. I mean, they ate up in the goal line spots. Houston at 5. I think they probably should be above Chicago here. Minnesota at 6. Justin Jefferson's number 1 receiver. That's fair. Addison, TJ Hockenson. But isn't Hockenson hurt? Okay, someone's got to update me on this. Hawkinson's hurt, right? Because I tried to draft Hockenson. They're like, no, don't do that. He's injured. So how much is Hockenson actually going to play this season? And Aaron Jones, that's good too. He just, again, has to be on the field. So they got us at 7. This is actually pretty crazy. They got us at 7, Minnesota at 6, Chicago at 4, and I got to assume Green Bay's not far behind. A little bit further than I thought, 14. They don't have the big names, but they were really good. That tells you where the receiver room's at, but it also tells you where the offenses are in this division. That's incredible. So us at 7. I don't hate that spot. St. Brown established himself one of the league's most reliable pass catchers. I think he had a 3.1% drop rate last season. Sam Laporta looked like a top 5 tight end. He didn't look like it. He was. And expected uptick in receiving production from Jamison Williams. See, that's the biggest question that they'll have, and Jahmyr Gibbs. So they brought everything into the fold here. I think they were fair with this. They brought everything into the fold. Didn't really hit on the depth too much and like, oh, what's Khalif Raymond's value? And I think that's fair because statistically he's not going to ever like go crazy. You didn't talk about Donovan Peoples-Jones. You didn't talk about those things, which are kind of like more niche roles in this offense. I think, though, when you look at the Lions, you almost have to look at them in a little bit of a different lens than a lot of offenses because, and I could be wrong, but I just think that they are, I don't even want to say that. You have to look at a different lens like you should every offense or most offenses. Like, even to the point of having Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, if you didn't use that like Miami did, they would not be as productive. Like, every offense has this to an extent. If you didn't have the quarterback for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they wouldn't be as productive. And for the Lions offense, I think you have to kind of look at it like that. Like, okay, Jamison Williams, maybe he doesn't go insane. I think he's on line for a big role because he's going to have that opportunity. I think he does put up good numbers. I think he puts up at least 700 yards, maybe 800. But a lot of these guys they fit a certain role. Like Peoples-Jones, physical, can win underneath, can win the second level dig routes. Boom, physical, deep out routes. They have Khalif, right? He feels like the gadget guy, but he is still vertical threat. Very reliable. Opens up a deep route tree, right? So you have that. We did the video on him. And then St. Brown's really that all-around guy that can play inside, outside, gives Laporta. So you almost have to look at it like, we're not looking at it like your typical receiver room. It's just who are the best weapons that they have, and how do those weapons complement the guy that they just gave an extension to? And you would say pretty darn well because it fits his skill set. Like, if you could replace, let's do this real quick. I'm just curious before we move on. If you could replace the Lions receiver room, running back, tight end, and wide receiver, all those as just pass catchers with the Eagles, would you do it? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Would you do it? Forget about the contracts. We're just talking about a season. Don't worry about the age. They're healthy. Would you do that? Would it make us better to flip those two? 1 for yes, 2, it would not make us better. 1, it wouldn't make us better. Because I think that's a real argument that they're at 3, and for them, and for most teams, that's probably the better receiver room because they have 2 really good receivers that have proven themselves. But for us, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, I'd rather have Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta. I don't know. I think it's interesting. And if Gibbs does what, we expect him to do, then he's in that mix. Going to miss Josh. Yeah, Josh is still a tough one. It's still a tough one. Like, certain times when I watch him, like, oh, he kind of short-armed there. Like, there was examples where I thought he short-armed. That was the biggest thing. Obviously, he finished on a tough note. Josh is still a darn good receiver, man. It was still a darn good receiver. And I think the Lions are okay with where they're at because they know that they're leaving that door open for James Williams to become that dude that they traded up for, the guy that they believed in to trade up for. I don't know. I don't know. I think but I think the fact they have us at 7 is enough. Like, I think it's fair. I mean, if most teams, let's say this too. If most teams were not the Lions and haven't proven that this is going to work, and you said their 3 receivers, according to this, if you said their top 3 receivers according to this were Jamison Williams, Khalif Raymond, and St. Brown, you would look at that production and be like, no, that's not a top 10 unit. You'd be like, they have an elite receiver, and then they have a guy that's really not consistently been on the field. He's fast, but he hasn't really produced consistently. And then you have Khalif Raymond, who's like a 400, 500-yard type of receiver. Like, no, it's not top 10. So I think it is fair where PFS put us, I don't know. We good? Okay, cool. All right. The replacement for Jackson was top 10 ranked. Jackson wasn't even close. We're about to get to that. I know what you're talking about. Let's do it. So that's the receiver rankings. I think we're going to have to fly through these last couple just for time reasons, but we have this. So we went through all the units. Let's go to guard, and I'll kind of fly through the other single ones, and then we'll go to quarterback to wrap this thing up because we got to dive into that one. But I did see guard, and guard has Zeitler at 6. Now, here's the issues. I had a lot of issues with this one. Not a lot of issues. I had some issues. Okay. I had some issues. The issues that I had with this one is I don't know what we were ranking. I know I've said that, but I don't really know why certain guys are where they are. And I'm gonna make a better example of that when we go to the next guard, which is Graham Glasgow. It feels like they're putting most of this value in how many pressures you've allowed. Like, it feels like that's what it is. And then certain guys that maybe aren't coming off the best season, but have played well in the past, some guys seemingly got a bump for that. Age seems to really be a factor in this. That's where I kind of don't love this because Kevin Zeitler at 6. Look, man, he's a plus run blocker. I was watching him yesterday, getting ready for maybe that's my next video. I don't know yet. He's a good run blocker. He's a good run blocker. He's versatile. He can do different things schematically. He can pull. Sometimes looks a little rough. Wide zone. He can do things like that. But as a pass protector, he's awesome. 19 pressures last season. He's very consistent. You know what you're going to get. He's incredible at picking up late blitzers. Wide frame, strong anchor, stiff punches. Like, don't have an issue with this. They're leaning on pass protection here. But this is where I have the issue a little bit. You see how far I'm scrolling down right now? Graham Glasgow at 27. I kind of got a problem with this one. A little bit. Like, I don't think it's terrible, but here's where my issue comes in, and here's why I can understand it. Based on what they say, they have Graham Glasgow as the 27th ranked guard, and that's good together. They're both in the top 32. Glasgow returned to the Lions 2023 after 3 seasons with Denver, slotted in at right guard, which now he's going to left guard, but they don't bring that up. So I don't know if that was a factor. 75.1 PFF grade, 16 games, 8th among guards. So they're not just going based on their grade alone. And I think he had over 1,000 snaps this past season, but he also moved around. He didn't play just right guard. Majority right guard, some center, a little bit of left guard like against Baltimore. 82.1 run blocking grade, which was 5th. He was rewarded with a 3-year, $20 million deal. Will resume his role as a starting right guard. So that's not, I don't think that's true. I think he's actually going to go to left guard, but I could be wrong. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. I think Zeitler's going to go to right guard. So they're not even bringing that in as fact. The issue that I have with this is that if we're going simply off of pressures, okay, that's fine. But when you go even just up a little bit and you go to guys like Nate Davis, for example, and let me make sure I have my stats here. So last season, Glasgow had 1,061 snaps, played at different positions, had 39 pressures allowed. 8 of those came against Green Bay. So its total pressures were 7 quarterback hits, 32 hurries, and 2 sacks. That's how he had that number. And to an extent, like, I don't really care too much. Like, okay, did he give up a sack? It's all play dependent. Like, if you said a guy gave up 1 sack versus 0, because most times that's where centers are at, like top centers, is there really that big of a difference? It's like maybe the guy just held the ball too long. Like, there is some of that where it's like, okay, I don't really care too much, to be honest. Like, if you gave the pressure, it's probably a problem because you're a center. But anyways, the issue I have is right above him, you have Nate Davis, who played 663 snaps, allowed 29 pressures, which was 7.5% of his pass blocking snaps, in comparison to Graham Glasgow, who is at 6.35%. So Glasgow allowed a lower pressure rate, played more positions because Nate Davis only played right guard, played more snaps, and he earned a much better run grade than Nate Davis, according to PFF, yet he's below Nate Davis. The only thing that I could think that they were looking at here based on what they say about Nate Davis, is that they're going back and saying, well, hey, in 2022, he only allowed a 3.6% pressure rate. And the year before that, it was 6.5%, even though that's, still not great. Only thing I think is that they're looking at this from he's not super old. As they bring up, he had the injury. He hasn't always had that high of a pressure rate allowed. Some of that, of course, can go on the quarterback as well. You could still get counted for a pressure, even though the quarterback's just standing with the ball in the pocket too long. So there is some fairness to that. Maybe that's what they're taking. I would have loved to see them. Maybe that's what they're looking at here. That's really the issue that I have with a player like that. Is I think based on what they've done recently, you can't put Nate Davis above Glasgow. I don't love that one. And then what is the other one? We have 24 Ezra Cleveland. Like this one, I don't understand this one either. So Ezra Cleveland's at 24. He got paid 3 years, $24 million after Jacksonville traded for him from Minnesota. He was pretty good with Minnesota. 3.6% pressure rate Minnesota. Goes to Jacksonville, allows a 6.5% pressure rate. He's not the run blocker Graham Glasgow is, and PFF will tell you that. Yeah, he's at 24. So again, they're kind of banking on what he did at Minnesota to say that it's going to be better in Jacksonville. Maybe that's the case, but he wasn't better in Jacksonville. If he was going back to Minnesota, now I can be like, okay, but he's not going back to Minnesota. He's staying in Jacksonville. And what he did in Jacksonville was not great. And there was even to the point where I was like, I don't even know if they're going to extend this guy. And then they did. They didn't give up a high pick to get him, so I wasn't sure. And then they did. So that one to me is a little bit weird. That one seems funky that they would have him above Graham Glasgow. Some of this, man, I don't completely understand it. And then the last one, we're going to go all the way up here to, was it Trey Smith? Trey Smith is at 13, right? Trey Smith last season allowed 34 pressures and 2 sacks on essentially the same amount of snaps as Graham Glasgow in total. 34 pressures, 2 sacks. Graham Glasgow, 39 pressures, 2 sacks. So I don't have an issue with him being above Graham Glasgow. But Graham Glasgow also, according to PFF, is a much better run blocker than Trey Smith. So the issue that I really have here is that there's this much gap between the two. Again, and he's only playing right guard. Maybe the big thing is that he's young and is historically, but based on what we've seen, like I feel like the gap is too massive here. So I don't have an issue with him being at 27. I don't think it's terrible. I just think that maybe if I were doing this, maybe there's some bias here. I would probably put him above Ezra Cleveland safely, and maybe I could put him in like 24. And I feel much better about that than being behind guys like Nate Davis, Connor McGovern, or Ezra Cleveland. I just feel like that's crazy. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. So that's my take. Okay, that's my take. Back again. What's up, Shane? What's up, Dion? Hey, what's up, The Truth? The Bears are who we think they are. So is Minnesota. Okay, I like that. Well, who do you think they are? Peoples-Jones had 800 yards receiving plus with a lousy quarterback. He did have a really good season. He had a really strong season with Cleveland at one point. They brought him back based on not having much production, so they believe in him. They definitely believe in him. They win off Madden ratings. Well, that's that. Now I know PFF be working, man. PFF be working. Like, no, just their statistics, they're great. Like, agree with them or not, they put the time in to come up with these results. I don't have any issues with their results. It's just the ranking lists are difficult because if they were just saying, like, and they do these, like, we're just ranking on our grades. Like, all right, it's your grades. That's cool with me. But I understand there's more nuance to that. I'm just questioning some of the nuance. That's it. That's it. Not the way that they come up with their results or their data. What's up, Crazy Clown? It's going good, man. I'm glad you're here. I'm enjoying the morning shows. I'm enjoying it. All right. Let's so we went through that. We're gonna go through a couple of these quickly, that way I can hit quarterback and spend some like time there, because I thought that one was gonna take the longest. But I've kind of went through this pretty slow. So we're gonna like quickly hit on edge rusher. They have linebacker, and we'll see if the Lions fall into any of these. Went through the unit rankings. So edge rusher, Myles Garrett at 1. Micah's pressure rates are ridiculous. I saw the numbers yesterday. It's insane. All right. Well, we're really looking for Hutchinson. Well, Hutchinson should be above these guys. Right here at 6. Hudson ascended to elite level in his second season. 91.4 pass rush grade, 101 quarterback pressures, ranked only second to Micah Parsons. His pass rush win rate also leaped from 12% to 21%. He's incredible. And this is why I was really, and I didn't even show the right article. This is why I was really focused on the back end. Like, the back end is going to lead to more sacks. The guy is incredible. He gets after it. There's a lot of examples where we just could not get to the quarterback. We couldn't get him to a second read. Could not get the guy to a second read. Hutchinson at 6, not mad at it. I would put Hutchinson above Max Crosby based on the numbers alone. based on the pressure rates. Marcus Davenport historically has a similar pressure rate to what we saw from Maxis last season. Hutchinson, you could say he has a better defensive line, but last year, was it by miles? Not really. I mean, they had guys like Tillery. They're not great, but they had a Tyree Wilson who was pretty awful, I think, last season. They had Kuntz on the opposite. He was good. I don't know. I would have him above Max Crosby, and then I'd be fine. You can put him in the top 5, and then you can kind of do whatever you want with it. That's fine with me. I don't have an issue with Thicks. I just put him at 5. That's where I'm at with that one. Let me see if there's any other edge rushers. I don't think there will be because Davenport didn't really play last year. I'd be shocked if they put someone like that on here. Yeah, I don't think he's going to fall into this group. Well, they got Van Ginkel on here. That one feels kind of weird. Wait, so they're considering Van Ginkel an edge. He plays linebacker, but he does play on the line of scrimmage often. I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at this list. Like, again, Jonathan Greener just did it last year. But historically, the pressure rates would lean towards Marcus Davenport. But he did it last year, so I don't have an issue with that. There he is. Hey, yeah, he's here, baby. Hey, they know the truth. BFF, they know the truth, man. Look, bro, I'm trying to tell y'all. Look, if you weren't here yesterday when I said it, I probably sounded crazy, okay? I probably sounded crazy. I said Marcus Davenport might be the best number 2 edge rusher this next season. He might be. That's what that's what I threw out there. Might be the best in football next season. Like, he has that capability. When he started to roll through the historic pressure rates, it actually would support that. He just needs to be on the field. Played 2 games last season, well, 2.2. But they put him on here because they know the truth. I gotta read this. Davenport missed most of 2023 due to an ankle injury. True. But even before then, he was having the worst year of his career grades. Well, yeah, Kansas City and was it Panther? I think Carolina was pretty good. Kansas City was kind of average. He's now in a new spot. I don't know why I'm reading it like this. Moving from Minnesota to Detroit in the offseason and had 4 steady years in New Orleans. 4 really good years in New Orleans. The hope is he can return to that. Dude, Leonard Floyd does exist. All right. I forgot y'all got Leonard Floyd. I forgot that. You know what? That's fair. Wait, hold up, though. What are the pressure rates looking like, though? You know what I mean? What are they looking like, though? I'm not mad at it. Here's the thing, though. All right, just to get the point across, this dude could be incredible. The fact that he's even on this list tells you PFF believes, man. They got belief in here. Dude played 2 games last season. They literally said he had his worst grades career-wise, and then they put him on the top 32. Bro, he's going to be a problem, man. Wait till I pull up with that Marcus Davenport jersey. It's about to go crazy. That's coming, man. Stay tuned. You know what I'm saying? Hey, no, sir. Hey, yes, sir, man. Hey, stay tuned for that. Marcus Davenport's about to go crazy. All right. So let's see where we're at. I love that. That's actually just made my day, man. I'll be really happy for the rest of the day. I see you. Hey, Marcus Davenport video coming next. Forget Kevin Zeitler, bro. We're going to Marcus Davenport. Where have we not done? We did receiver. Well, we didn't do individually, but tight end. Let's go to tight end. And then I think offensive tackle, and then we'll do quarterback. Okay, tight end, George Kittle, Kelsey. Then they got Mark, TJ. Wait a minute, what? Okay. All right. Okay. I don't have a huge issue with this. No, I mean, I kind of do. Oh, wait a minute. Here's the issue I have. Here's the issue. I'm still in the wrong article. The issue that I have is Sam Laporta was better as a rookie as a Lion than he was with the Lions. Than TJ Hockenson was with the Lions. That being said, though, TJ Hockenson was awesome with Minnesota when he got there. So that's fair. I can't be mad at that. I'm looking at that from a Lions fan perspective. I can't be mad at that. It just kind of caught me. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. All right. That's fine. We'll take top 5. I feel like it's too low, though. I mean, Mark Andrews is a dog, so it's hard for me to not put Andrews, but Travis Kelce at 2? Okay. They put the run blocking. They put the run block. Hey, who's better run blocker? I believe Sam Laporta is a better run blocker than TJ Hockenson. So I feel like this is, Kelsey feels high. I'm not going to lie. Kelsey feels high. But if they're saying that he's a very good run blocker, and that's what they're really taking into account, that's fine. We saw his production dip. I shouldn't be mad at this. We'll take top 5. Replace one Hawkeye for another. And don't lose a wink of sleep. Okay, I don't know what that means. Laporta exploded onto the NFL landscape and one of the greatest rookie seasons in NFL history. Only 3 tight ends caught at least 10 touchdowns in year 1. Mike Ditka, Rob Gronkowski, and Sam Laporta. If he contends for a top 2 spot. Okay, that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. Wow, it seems like they were really Wait a minute. Here's the issue I have. It feels like they really leaned on to their offensive grades for this list, but not the other ones. Like the top 5 literally goes in order of their offensive grades. Now it changes a little bit after that. I guess they consider Taysom Hill a tight end. But their top 5 is just their offensive grade. That's not the case for the other ones. Okay. All right, we'll keep it moving. We got one more because we got to get to this quarterback thing. And that will be offensive tackle. I think that's the one that we didn't dive into. Offensive tackle. Let's do it. Iowa's tight end university. And it's like crazy because they even had like the Noah Fant hasn't really worked. But yeah, they just keep putting them out, man. Okay, here we go. And even this year, Eric All. Wait, where did Eric All go in the draft? He was pretty fun to watch. He just didn't play a lot. So offensive tackles, Penny Sewell's going to be near the top. He might be the top. Penny Sewell's a star. And 95.1 rocket accolade, 92.8 overall grade, ranked first. He might be 1. Whoa, why'd they put him at 3? Hold up. However, because of his pass blocking grade ranked outside the top 10, he finishes 3rd. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. No, I mean, he does lose in pass protection. There's no question. There are losses in pass. You can see them when you watch him. There's some really ugly losses. He's obviously the best run blocking offensive lineman that we have. There's no question about that. Guy sets the tone, moves people, can do it all schematically. So I could get that. I can be okay with this. And it feels like a lot of these things, like I said with guards, they just leaned on pass pro way more than run blocking. So you being a great run blocker is not going to give you the edge over a great pass protector. Not to say he's not a great pass protector, but to say that he's not better than Tristan Wirfs or Trent Williams, that's okay with me. That's okay with me. It depends on your team. Every team does play different, but that's fair. Eric All is a Bengal. Okay, that's what I like to see. That's what I like to see. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with this one. I want to see where Decker comes in. I'm going to guess. Decker comes in at 15. Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson at 6, Tyron Smith at 7, Larry Tunsil at 8, Sean Slater at 9, Colton Miller. Hey, Colton Miller's been given PFF loves Colton Miller. I remember preparing for that Raiders game. Yo, people are like, yo, their offensive line is trash. My Colton Miller, trash. Okay. All right. Their offensive line wasn't playing terrible, though, all season. Like, it wasn't. Taylor Moen at 13. Oh, I was close. Taylor Decker comes in at 14 here. And they say, although he failed to reach an elite level at the position, Decker has become one of the most consistent left tackles in the NFL. As a result, he finished top 10 PFF grade for the first time in his career. Oh, congratulations. As an 81.1 overall grade, 9th in the position, 3rd highest of his career. Wow. So the other years, there were just better tackle grades. Okay. Decker sticks at left tackle, but he is athletically so gifted, man. He's so agile, doesn't have the natural length, doesn't have really the power or always the leverage that you want to see from like a run blocker. So for him, positioning, quickness, hand usage, like that's what he leans on, technically being very skilled. And he is that because he is consistent as they bring up. Not always perfect. I think the Ravens game was a little bit shaky at times, but he is technically skilled, and that leads to consistency because I feel like a lot of times he could just outskill his opponent, and he's a good athlete. Like, I feel like that gets overlooked. He's a very good athlete, very good mover. So number 14 is Decker. These rankings, the Lions, I think we said yesterday in Crate, your Lions about to pass everybody. I mean, it is right. We're about to pass everybody, dog. One by one. You know what I mean? Hey, is Dan Skipper on this list? I should have looked. Okay. I don't think he's here. Let's do this. I'm fired up. Okay. I'm going to just raise questions. Okay. I'm going to raise questions. We'll try not to spend too long here just because of how long we've already gone. But let's go to quarterback. Being low with number 16 in DC. Wait. I didn't get that. Eric Osbangle, he's a leader. He is a leader. Obviously, PFS must be in love with 16 and DC. Okay, I see what you're saying. I don't know why I didn't pick up on that. All right, I would love to see. I would love to see PFF grades the old school linemen like Anthony Munaz and Lomas Brown. I don't know how to pronounce the first one, but Lomas Brown, hey, that'd be fire. Hey, yo, Dan Skipper, hold up. I clicked off it, but we don't know. Maybe he got the Marcus Davenport treatment. 32. Jonathan Ogden. Okay, I know Jonathan Ogden. All right, let's do this. Come on. Okay. See, this is where certain things just frustrated me with this. Okay. I don't have an issue with the numbers they come up with. Some of it they'll say are subjective. I understand that. Right? Just laying it out. I get it. I get that metrics that you have to chart can be subjective. Right? Where I've worked in the past, things were subjective. Right? It's like, okay, the accuracy of this football, where's the ball placed? Some of that gets very objective because you're saying like, well, it's in front of him. Saying things were on target. Saying that he caught it on stride. Like things like that in a way are slightly subjective, but they're not over the top subjective. It's not like you're like watching, you're like, I actually think that was a beautiful pass and he completely missed the guy. It's usually pretty tight. So I don't have an issue with that. What I have an issue with is the perception I feel like is given to number 16. Because you just said you think PFF maybe loves Goff. I don't think that's true. And I'm going to show you why I don't think that's true. All right. So stick with me here because I just have a few that I'm not even going to argue all of these. I just have a few that I'm like, what are we talking about? First off, let me just show you where he's at. I know no one cares about my opinion. Just want to say I love having morning dose shows. Hey, I appreciate it, man. This unfettered optimism and enthusiasm is refreshing in the morning. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Well, I'm going to give you some reason. I don't know how to explain it. You're going to like this. I think, all right, let's do this. Let me show you where he's at first. That way all of you can be like, what? If you haven't seen this yet, here we go. I'm going to scroll for a minute. All right. So that just happened. Now we're going to dive into this. But as I scrolled all the way down to 16, okay, I don't know if they got it confused. Maybe they were putting the jersey number. I don't know what happened here, okay? As I scrolled all the way to 16 to find Jared Goff, let me also real quick just show you who's actually below Goff. Now, you think to yourself as I'm showing you these, how many of these guys you think are actually like, they can play? Like if I said, can that dude play? You know what I mean? You guys know what I'm saying? How many of these guys below Goff you would say they can? Kyler Murray, Geno Smith, Caleb Williams, haven't seen him. Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Anthony Richardson. Okay. Let's just do it. Let's just get good morning, Samuel. How you doing? Just do it. I've always liked Goff. He has class. We should all shame him into hitting the gym though. Hey, I think sometimes you just built like that. But also I have heard, and I don't know if this is the case with him. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Because I talked about that in the past a little bit. I have heard like a lot of quarterbacks, they try to stay away from lifting weights. Didn't Tom Brady say at one point, like if he could do it again, he wouldn't lift at all? Like they try to stay away from putting on muscle, man, because I guess it's maybe for your joints, it's a little bit too much. It's not like natural as a passer, I guess. Maybe if you're like a runner, maybe if you are Anthony Richardson, yeah, bulk up, dude. You're about to be getting hit. But for Goff, maybe that's just not this. I hear you, though, but I'm just, just pointing that out. Okay, let me explain what they say. For as much as Goff was already an efficient in-structure quarterback, he took that to an even higher level this last season. 85.2 passing grade was the highest of his career. 3.4% big-time throw percentage. Keep an eye on that word, big-time throws. I think they ranked this entire list on big-time throws. They haven't, though. I'll show you why. Was the single highest number since his Rams days. And his 2.4% turnover-worthy play percentage was a career low. Unfortunately, Goff's play under pressure and outside the structure continues to leave a lot to be desired when compared to other quarterbacks. Gosh, where do we even start with this? All right, let's start from the top. Yeah, the Caleb Williams glazing is wild. I don't know what to do with that, okay? Let's start from the top, though. PFF, I appreciate you for this article because it did bring some good energy out. And I'm absolutely open to revisiting this. Let's start with this. I'm not even hating. Like, I'm not even sitting here to be a hater on Lamar Jackson. I just need to understand how this guy is considered in tier 2 the elite. He leads the elite list. All right. And I got to scroll all the way down here to the melting pot of starters. Not, however, postseason caliber quarterbacks. Oh, SEC championship meant nothing. All right. Hey, I didn't know. I thought that was the playoffs. Guess not. Yeah. Melting pot of starters. By the way, Brock Purdy could have something to say about this too. Super Bowl. Okay. I don't know. Our guy's getting paid though. I mean, our guy is legitimately getting paid one of the top cap hits, and he did that. Anyways, though, I got to scroll this far to find this. Now, tell me why, right? Let me start with a graphic, because this is something that I can pick up from. We did this last year. You guys remember when it was like Lamar Jackson can be available? Should the Lions give up a couple first round picks? Okay. Should they do it to go get Lamar Jackson? And I was like, no. All right. No, don't do that. And we made these graphics, and I argued for Goff, and I showed how similar I thought they actually were. And I'm going to show you that again, but I'm also going to show you one from just last season, which is, according to PFF, Lamar Jackson's best season. Okay. That's what they say. Let me read Lamar Jackson's little line here before I show you this. Lamar Jackson, 3 quarterbacks have won MVP since 2018. Lamar Jackson twice. Okay. In a new offense, 2023, Jackson earned the highest single passing grade of his career, 83. All right. Passed for a career high in yards. Career best in big time throws was 25. All that happened while he kept his turnover worthy play rate below 3%, added unmatched rushing ability. Jackson is in the tier with Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, but if we're ranking these guys, would it be giving Jackson the respect he has earned if we didn't put him at 2 as the reigning MVP? I'm not going to sit here and make the case that his impact is not felt by simply the ability to run even when he does not run. I'm not going to, because I think that'd be false. It does. I'm not even going to sit here and try to make the argument that Goff should be above Lamar Jackson. I could try, but I'm not going to. What I'm going to make the argument is you have one guy who's not listed in postseason caliber quarterbacks that went to the NFC Championship, lost by 3. You have the other guy in the elite above what they consider elite quarterbacks. Now, let me move myself real quick here. So this is a graphic from last season alone. Oh, we're going to talk about that, Joseph. Stick with me, all right? This is a graphic from last year alone, right? 2023. Now, I didn't even put the names. I just want y'all to look at this and be like, okay, which is which? I'm not sitting here to say that these numbers are even better for Goff, because from a per game basis, they're technically not in terms of total yards and I believe touchdowns per game. They're not, but man, they are close. And the gap of 14 is disrespectful. All right, let's look on the left here. 4,100 yards. That's career high. 975 rushing yards. Now, someone needs to explain to me, why does rushing yards get more value than passing yards? Am I missing something? No. Straight out. We're just going raw numbers here because they brought up raw numbers for Lamar Jackson. Explain to me why rushing yards matters more than passing yards. I just want to know. I'm just curious. I'm really curious because it seems that if I take a season where he had 4,000 passing yards, which is his best, and I say that he's incredible as a runner, look at those yards, which they are incredible. But yet, when I add them together, they're still less than Jared Goff's. How does that make sense? Appreciate you joining, Ryan. So I just want to start with that. Now, as a passer, obviously Goff has the nod in all the categories. Completion percentage, just completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio, that may go to Lamar statistically. Goff more touchdowns, a couple more interceptions, more pass attempts as well, but at a higher efficiency. Lower big time throw rate, 3.3% versus his 4.7, but also a lower turnover worthy rate. So that goes in Goff's thing. And then total yards, because he played 2 more games, Goff hits him in both categories. Now, to be fair, because I was going to be fair, real quick. There you go. Just to be fair, real quick. And it's just last year. I'll show you guys a little bit bigger of a sample size. Just to be fair, right? In terms of per game stats, there you go. Lamar Jackson has the slight edge. 271 versus 282. I gave him 11 yards more a game. All right. He played 2 less games. That's why. They had a bye. They had a bye. We did not have a bye. Which, man, Dallas, I'm so glad Joe lost. And then touchdowns, slight edge to Lamar. So just want to start with that. Now, if we look at a larger sample size, this is what I put together before last season. And I basically did the exact same thing. I took their records, completion percentage, obviously Goff's yards by far. And then in the middle, I actually don't think I put it on here, to be honest with you. I should have put it on. Did I put it on here? I put it on here. Total yards. Look at that. Goff averages per season. He was averaging like 900 more total yards. Like 900 more total yards in a season. And that's including rushing and passing. So obviously Lamar has the nod there because that's his style of play. That's his style of play, right? Not gonna get it. I understand that. And it's not me sitting here saying, well, hold up. Jared Goff is just straight up better than Lamar. Not even making that argument. All I'm saying is there can't be this massive gap, and you give one guy this elite label, and you give the other guy, he's a melting pot quarterback. When you look at it, and again, this was just last season, right? And even on the bottom, I put their defensive ranks. Look how they rank defensively. Second, 19th, third. Lions over the last 5 years, 20th, 17th, first. In the last 2 years, it was 31st and 29th. Won 9 games. What was the line? Can we update this real quick? I should have updated this. I'm going to look. I think I did this in terms of points per game because I always like looking at points per game. Always like doing it. I think points per game is like the best way to do it, but I don't think one stat alone does it incredibly well. But I think I went points per game, I'm assuming. So I'm just going to use that same thing just to kind of see because I don't even know where he ranked. I assume it was a lot better last season. Lions last season points per game were 23rd in the NFL. 23rd. Baltimore Ravens last season points per game, number 1 in the NFL. Huh. So Baltimore gives up 16.5 points per game. We give up 23. Touchdown more. We gave up essentially, touchdown more. And we were 12-5. They were 13-3. We both went to the championship games. Our game was much more competitive, but they were pretty competitive both. I would say they're both pretty good. This is my problem, man. And this is just the first thing that I have an issue with. All right? This is my problem. It's not that Lamar's above him. It's not that Lamar's impact over an offense isn't larger because you completely changed the way that you play when Lamar Jackson's out there. It's like the Tyreek Hill effect. You have Tyreek, it changes everything. The issue that I have is that none of these statistics say that Lamar Jackson's on this different level. And that I don't understand. My man, Last Second Sports, how you do? If you swap Goff and Lamar, what would happen to those teams? That's why they're ranked this way. Love Lamar, but he needs to play better in the playoffs, period. I don't know, though. Like, if I gave Jared Goff the best defense in football, and I believe the run game would take a step back, but if I gave him the best defense in football, he already has proven he doesn't need the best receiving core. So that's what I don't get. Now, watching Goff with people near him. Here's the issue with that, though. And I appreciate you saying that. Here's the issue that I have with this. And I'm about to explain to y'all because I went through other years to see if that's legit. Every year when they do these rankings, it feels like the reason for having Goff low is just something different, right? It's like, let's find something different. What they say is not factually untrue. Their numbers are right. Unfortunately, Goff's play under pressure and outside the structure continues to leave a lot to be desired. Not untrue. That's accurate. The issue that I have with that is I feel like who cares in a sense. If I build the team around what he's good at and what he's not good at, in a sense, it doesn't matter because the results are still there for Goff. You know what I mean? Like when he had a top offensive line, went to the Super Bowl with the Rams. With us, top offensive line goes to the NFC Championship game. There is absolute truth in the fact that he's not great off schedule. But then we can go back to the pressure argument, which is where they knock him. And I can look at it like this and say, okay, well, this is something that PFF brought up in the past years ago. We don't love just looking at pressure because there's so many variables that go into it that the results are not going to be consistent. So if we do that, Goff's not good here. But then again, you see where all the variables shake everything up. So for example, we could start, what do we want to 2022 or 2023? Let's start in, I don't have Jared Goff, I don't think. Oh no, I have Jared Goff listed. So I'll start with 2022. Under pressure, this is according to PFF stats. Under pressure, Dak Prescott was 44th in the league grade, 9 touchdowns, 7 picks, 50% of his completion, 50% completion percentage. Jared Goff, 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 42% completion percentage. They ranked him 59th, I believe. Stafford ranked 55th, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 54% completion percentage. Trevor Lawrence ranked 70th. 5 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, completed 47% of his passes. Kyler Murray ranked 75th. Now, if we go to 2023, this past season, Dak took off. He's very high on this list. We'll get to that. Jared Goff ranked 44th, similarly, not good. 6 touchdowns, 9 picks, 50% complete percentage. But you also still see Lawrence, 6 touchdowns, 6 picks, 45% complete percentage. Stafford, great under pressure this season in terms of touchdowns. Touchdowns, 9, 3 picks, 44% complete percentage. Tua ranked 35th, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, 39% completion percentage. Geno Smith actually ranked 17th. He actually ranked 17th. He was better than some of these guys in that position. So what I just don't like is I feel like if you told me that we were ranking quarterbacks like this, if you said that you line up all the quarterbacks and you said that you pick a quarterback and that's going to be your guy for the season, and then you could build your team around that. Could Goff go 16? Potentially. I'm not even disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing because if I was doing a scouting report, you wouldn't have Goff as high because certain traits wouldn't be there, athletically especially. But that's not what we're doing. We're talking about the situation that they're in with the team that you build around him. That's what we're looking at. If you had said that in their description, I got no issues. Let me go to another player here. I got to make sure I find the right one. I think the next one is Trevor Lawrence that I kind of want to dig into a little bit because as my man Last Second Sports said, should be around 12-ish. So at 12 is Trevor Lawrence. Look at that. It actually worked out really well. Actually, I have an issue with Aaron Rodgers too here. Aaron Rodgers at 8's insane. I just straight up, like, I don't understand this one. I don't understand this one. I don't know what to do with this. Like, their explanation is that he's won MVPs, and if he's fully healthy, he's a top 10 quarterback. How? So 2022, maybe a top 10 quarterback, maybe. Was definitely like the worst I've seen of Aaron Rodgers personally. 26 touchdowns, 12 picks that season. Didn't play last season. Jordan Love was better with a lot of the similar players last season. So Jordan, just in general, him being 8 doesn't make any sense to me. That to me is absolutely insane. Dude's not even showing up to offseason stuff. That's besides the point. That's insane. We can revisit that. I want to go to Trevor Lawrence though. Here's really the overall issue that I have with this whole thing. A lot of this is them basing it on big time throw percentage. Most of these descriptions bring up big time throws. Trevor Lawrence, top 5 big time throws. Most of these descriptions, big time, 27 big time throws, right? Goff's are low. Well, why are they low? Let me tell you why they're low. Goff doesn't take the shots at the rate that most quarterbacks do. That's fair. Again, doesn't have the biggest arm. 20 plus yard passes, his pass attempts are much lower than most of these quarterbacks on here. But where they credited Goff was his turnover worthy rate was extremely low. I believe it was in the top 5 lowest. If I have the, see, this handwriting is such a disaster. If I have the thing right here. So he's top 5 in turnover worthy plays in terms of the bottom. His big time throws are on the lower side, even though it was the highest since he's been with the LA Rams. Now, with the LA Rams, he did have a 5% season, which we'll showcase. So that's a lot lower, right? To his skill set, that's not something that he's going to thrive in. Number one, I just don't know why that matters. Like, looking at how they judge a big time throw, they say it's a high opportunity play with excellent timing, and it can be incomplete, but it's a tight window throw that's typically deeper down the field. Goff doesn't throw those. He has much less opportunity. For example, if you look at Goff, he had 56 attempts on 20-plus yard passes. Dak Prescott had 82 attempts on 20-plus yard passes. Much more of his throws come between 10 and 19 yards, where Goff had more passing attempts than Dak Prescott this past season. So I think that when you just look at it, usually the completions that they have listed, about half of them are also listed as a big-time throw. Goff just doesn't throw as many of those. We'll take like here and there shots. We'll set them up. But it's not as consistent. Okay, so where do we want to go with this next? Because I got all this Dak stuff on here. Let's go to the Trevor Lawrence thing. I mean, actually, let me throw this article up because this is what I was talking about. So I pulled it back. Let me find. Here we go. Let me find this. Okay, so here was 2000. This was after 2018. Now, 2019 was not a good season for Goff. Offensive line fell apart. No surprise he struggled, right? We know that now. He needs that. So they rank Goff at 13, higher ranking than he is this year. And they say there's no doubt Sean McVay and an excellent play calling, which is another thing I just don't like. Like, it feels like outside of Tua, like we're the only guy that consistently brings up play calling. Yes, it helps. You have to have a good play caller. I can legitimately say the same thing about Stafford, who this season, they ranked 15. Like, yeah, play calling matters, okay? But anyways, besides the point, but he deserves credit for improving his game every year in the league. Okay. Goff has led the league in passing yards off play action. So again, that's a schematic thing. Now, can we also point to the fact that if you look at Goff's numbers, non-play action, I believe he led the league in passing yards this past season. I can pull those stats. We have those. But anyways, advanced from 2017, time for 10. Even with the improvement, Goff hit his worst 3-game stretch, bounced back for the Super Bowl. Goff improved his accuracy, ranking above average on all 10-plus yards throws downfield. But he must continue to advance his decision-making, where he ranked 24th at avoiding turnover-worthy plays. So this is the issue I have. The reason that he was knocked was turnover-worthy plays. This season, he's one of the lowest in the league in turnover-worthy plays, and he's 16th. So while they mention it, it seems like they're not putting nearly enough value in where the value should be placed. Every quarterback has to be, in a way, I think, graded on somewhat of a different scale. Goff's value is not turning the football over because he's not going to, in turn, give you a lot of big-time throws. It's the reason why Stafford could turn the ball over, but at the same time, he was going to make up for that because he was going to give you some massive big-time throws. Goff's not going to give you that rate, so what he has to do is not turn the football over. So why, when he's pulled that back, pushed his big-time throw rate up to the highest since the Rams, is he at 16? Why is he lower than he was in 2013 when his turnover rate was 24th in the NFL? That's an issue that I have just in general of the grading thing, because I feel like we're putting him on a scale that feels like it's trying to be equal, and it's not fair to be equal because that's not him. That's not his skill set. He's a completely different quarterback. The Trevor Lawrence thing. Let me make sure I find my right statistics here, because we hit on the Lamar Jackson thing. We can even go to Jalen Hurts, to be honest with you, but I want to go to... I got to find my right stats here. I think I might have put it on this page. Hold up. See, we got to get these right. Oh, yeah, and by the way, here's another issue. So, by the way, they have Tua above our guy. They have Tua above Goff, right? And Tua Tagovailoa is 14. Is that right? He's 14. Tua had a 3.5% turnover worthy play rate, which was the 5th most in the NFL this last season. So I thought I'd, just point that out. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like they're putting enough value in that for Goff. Okay, so let me get it right. Let me get it right. I think that's Lawrence. I can't, bro. I honestly cannot tell what I wrote here. Like, straight up. I think, okay. Okay, no. So this is the Jared Goff thing. So this was the ending of the Jared Goff thing. Yeah, here's Lawrence. Okay. Jared Goff in 2018, coming off 2018, when he ranked 13th, 3.9% turnover worthy play rate, right? So it was really high, as they touched on, 24th. He also had a 5.5% big time throw percentage. So it was much higher that season. That's a big reason I think that they're just leaning into what is your big time throw rate. Now, the issue with that is, like we said, the subjective thing is I assume they're more objective than anything because of what they're just basing these plays on. They all get trained probably the same, but it just feels like the basis is too heavily put into that rather than just crediting Jared Goff for making the right decision. Because big time throws, from what I went through, there's almost no big time throws accounted for any short pass. And that makes sense because they put a lot of value in the depth of the pass. But if Goff's not going to live in 20-plus yard passes, if he's not going to put enough out there, his big-time throw percentage, which isn't like conversions, from my understanding, all big-time throw percentage is how many big-time throws that you've hit in comparison to how many throws you actually made. So if you're pushing the ball down the field more, your rate's going to go up. All of a sudden, you're going to have a higher big-time throw percentage versus the flip side, which is the efficiency with Goff in terms of like completion percentage, which is extremely high. But okay, so here's the Trevor Lawrence thing. Oh, that's the pressure thing again. All right, I wrote the pressure thing twice. Okay, oh, here we go. Here's Trevor Lawrence. So here's the issue that I have. So Trevor Lawrence, who ranks at 12 in 2023, had a 3.8% turnover-worthy play rate. One of the worst in the league. 5.8% big-time throw rate. Versus Goff, who had the 2.4% turnover-worthy play rate and the 3.3% big throw rate. If you go back a season, it was 3% for Lawrence in turnover-worthy rate. If you go back another season, it's 3.7% in turnover-worthy rate. They're not doing this on a scale that is fair to each quarterback individually. And it's almost like he gets knocked because of the scheme. Like when it was Sean McVay, Ben Johnson. So he's worked with multiple coordinators. Does he not get credit for that? Like, you worked with both coordinators. That doesn't always happen. They build around him well, yes. That's where I have the issue, because everything they say about him, his grades up, big time throw percentage is up, turnover worthy plays down. But outside of structure and under pressure continues to be a struggle. As I mentioned, everybody's inconsistent and bad under pressure. So when you see a guy like Dak, right? Dak Prescott, who's ranked number 7 this year under pressure, and the year before he was ranked number 44. It's because there's too many variables into it. You're not getting consistent results. Most quarterbacks are completing 50 or under % of their passes when they're under pressure. It is the same argument that I really brought up this season when we did Bleacher Report, which is Patrick Mahomes was one of the worst quarterbacks under pressure, I believe, a season ago. Statistically speaking, he was one of the worst. So if you want to tell me athletically he's going to get out of the pocket more, that's fine. But then I can flip around and say, okay, well, how then? Well, why then are we not putting more value into the fact that you put this graphic out, which is under 2.5 seconds, Jared Goff is second in the NFL. Like, this is back to the point of the decision-making aspect. Where is he not on here? Which is once the play gets beyond 2.5 seconds, he's good at getting the ball very fast. One of the best, only behind Tua. So I don't have an issue with that. I just think you have to look at players individually. I was going to see if I could find. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. Oh, yeah. But if you do look at it, and even this one, like, I'm not going to argue this one because I don't have an issue with Patrick Mahomes being 1. If you line them all up, you're just taking them like that. Everybody's taking Patrick Mahomes number 1. No question, right? Every factor goes into that. He's going number 1. That being said, though, the argument for Mahomes being 1, I don't think is good this year. Like, if you're looking at it for a year if you were going based on last year, he doesn't have a good argument to be number 1. But your description is based on what they did last season. For Goff, it wasn't based on what he did historically. It was based on what he did last season. Patrick Mahomes, I don't think has a great argument for being number 1 because their argument that they use is career stats. They say since coming into the league, 191 in big time throws. That's a career stat. They're not using what he did last season. 8.1 yards per attempt. Only figure, quarterbacks higher playing with Kyle Shanahan. That's a career stat. This has nothing to do with what he did last season because his turnover worthy rate, I believe, was the exact same as Jared Goff. If I have it correct here, let me make sure I get it correct here. I can actually just pull it up separately without trying to look for it. Let me get this real quick. Let me find it. Actually, let me just pull it up real quick. Let me just pull it up. I'm not going to look for it. Just pull it up. Because we know the raw numbers, it doesn't support Mahomes big time. It was a lot of what they did defensively, which can go back to the Lamar Jackson thing, which is, you have the best defense in football. That's going to help you. Love to see what that looks like with Jared Goff. But anyways, if you go to Mahomes this past season, he had a 4% big time throw rate, which would have been 0.7% higher than Goff. So that was higher. And he had a turnover worthy play rate of 2.9%, which was worse than Jared Goff by 0.5%. So you can say that Mahomes technically a little bit better, especially when you talk about the big time throw rate. The issue that I have with that is that's not based anything on last season. He should not be number 1 if we're basing this on last season. And only certain quarterbacks do we choose to make their basis on what they did last season. That's where I have the problem overall with this, is there's inconsistency with how we actually decided to rank these guys. Are we looking at Goff historically? I think that a lot of this is them simply saying if we just line these guys up, who would get drafted and when. And that would be their argument for saying that Goff is lower because he's not the prototype athletically. But the reality is it doesn't matter. Like, it straight does not matter. Right, and Tua is buns. Tua might not even get paid. I mean, we can put Tua above Goff. The dude might not even get paid, right? So they may believe a lot of that is just simply schematically. Lions paid their guys. So as much as we talk about, schematic, Lions paid their dude. And they could lose Ben Johnson next season. That's very possible that it happens. They were cool with paying him. There at least should be some sort of nod of credit where you want to give it, it's all Sean McVay. It's a lot of Sean McVay was awesome. It's all Ben Johnson. Can't give any credit for the guy that's made it work in 2 places. I mean, this wasn't like a good team when he got here. We're not going to give him no credit for that. Like, he did work with multiple coordinators. Because like I brought up with the Stafford point, I don't think I finished. Stafford, who they have above him, was not above him in 2018. Are you telling me Stafford athletically was not more talented than Jared Goff coming off of the 2018 season? What? That's insane. He absolutely was. But all of a sudden now, where is he? He's right here at where is he? I'm actually looking at the wrong list, I think. Nope, I'm not. Where is he? There he is. He's at 12. Wait, this is not last season. Hold up. Is this last season? Let me check real quick. Ranking all starters ahead. Oh, yeah, this is the wrong season. I'm like, he ain't at 12. My bad. I got the wrong thing on here. Okay. I'm looking at the wrong one. Last round where they ranked him at 16, good in this offense. Is that what they put? Good in this offense? And that's like, what does that mean though? What is that? I just don't understand what that means. I truly don't. That's like saying Lamar Jackson is good in this offense, which you could legitimately say. If I made Lamar Jackson play the offense the exact same as Jared Goff, and it's like, we're not going to run the ball. No design runs for you. He wouldn't be as good. You'd be like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. The dude's putting up 4,000 passing. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Not good in this offense. That's the case with everybody. I feel like you can make that argument about literally everybody, maybe outside of Patrick Mahomes. Now, if you want to say that Lamar Jackson creates the offense, I guess that's fair, but there's certain offenses I put him in that I don't think he'd be that effective or as effective as he is. That's where I just don't get it. I think quarterback is so nuanced that it can't just be looked at individually unless you're scouting a player individually and you're just looking at traits. That's fine. But when you're looking at him within where he's at and you start talking about what he's done really well the past season and you drop him, to me, that doesn't make any sense. If we're looking at a historical, if we're looking at it from the way that he's built, that's fine. Keep that the same with every ranking. You can't just make it for him like, we're going to drop him because of that. That's not fair to do. That's just where I don't understand it. And then, like I said, having guys like Rodgers that high is insane. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm a hater. I don't know. I don't understand having him that high. I'm not mad with a ton of these other ones. I absolutely understand why Stafford is where he is, but obviously it matters the situation that you're in because Stafford, again, was ranked below Jared Goff just a few years ago when he was in LA. Was Stafford worse than Jared Goff then? I would say no. Just not in the same situation. So situation matters. That's okay. It's okay for situation to matter. No running. Hey, there you go. Right? My goodness, man. I don't know. It's just crazy, man. Like there's a lot more on here. I feel like we could revisit this. I just think the whole thing is crazy. It's like we just want to find things. I'll say this just to make it simple. I'm glad we have Jared Goff. I'm glad we have this dude. I'm glad we have a quarterback. There's a lot of teams that would like to have a quarterback. Becoming the most respected quarterbacks league. He's a Super Bowl win away. Is on his way to becoming one of the most respected quarterbacks league. He's a Super Bowl win away. I think that's probably facts. Unless you're looking at things like this, but yeah, I mean, if he does and Ben Johnson's here, it's going to be because of Ben Johnson. And it will be a lot because of Ben Johnson. But Jared Goff won't get no credit. Hey, you should. I would think just literally I brought this up last time. We had our best season in history going back to before the Super Bowl era. Like, best season ever. Crazy, man. I don't know. Narrative will finally change. I guess, you know what? In fairness, that's what happened with Stafford, right? He won a Super Bowl all of a sudden. People were like, yo, is he a Hall of Famer? Boy, in 2019, you ranked him below Goff. How is he a Hall of Famer? It's like, yeah, he was really good with the Lions too. Wow, his numbers though. Well, maybe that's the revolving door of coordinators. Maybe that's a not good offensive line. Maybe that's your defense is tragic most of the time. Maybe that's not having a 100-yard rusher. Maybe that has something to do with it. It's almost like we're playing both sides of the fence here. Like on one side with Stafford, it's like, yo, we're not going to give him any kind of like luxury until he actually leaves and go into Super Bowl. He has to go on a good team and do it. And it's like Goff on the flip side. He's doing it. He's winning. And it's like, well, hold up. That's really everything else that's doing it. This is why I keep it simple. There's quarterbacks that you pay. There's quarterbacks that you don't pay. I think it's that simple. Split the line right there. There's not many of them in the league, and we got one of them. I'm glad we do. We could honestly go on with this a little bit longer just based on the dang notes that I have here probably. Oh, I did have the Mahomes thing. Oh, yeah. Patrick Mahomes was 17th in big-time throw rate. Jared Goff with 18th. Jared Goff also, if I have that number correctly, had a lower turnover-worthy rate than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes' stats in the regular season, 33 touchdowns, 15 picks, versus Goff, who was 30 touchdowns, 12 picks, and about the exact same adjusted and completion percentage. Actually, I think Goff's completion percentage was slightly higher. Mahomes' adjusted percentage was slightly higher. So that just tells you right there they're not going based on last season. But it makes sense. Like, it makes sense because he didn't have the weapons. They played through the defense. That makes sense. You know what I mean? That makes sense. I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, I think we're good, though. I think we hit on everything. I feel like that was what is that? All right, I don't know. I feel like that was a good follow-up to yesterday's show, man. I didn't know where to go with this one, but we definitely went longer than I expected. The quarterback thing I knew was going to get wild. I probably want to revisit this. If we do a ranking with Brad, it's going to be insane, I'm sure. I'm just going to do my best to not like overreact to being heated in this situation, put him at like 3. But but I made no promises, man. No promises. Based on the position rankings, lines are very high in a lot of these categories, man. So if you guys want to, if you guys just joining, man, you want to pull it back, absolutely do so. Yesterday's episode was a ton of fun. If you are just joining this your first morning show, yesterday was a lot of fun. I would go check that one out. Talked about the draft, Brad Holmes' success. What did we also talk about? We talked about Brad Holmes' success, and then we talked about why like, yo, this we could take over kind of deal. Oh yeah, and then we looked at the top 5 most underrated. Wait, did I title that as overrated? I hope I did not. Underrated additions this offseason. That was good. And then we probably have a breakdown coming soon. While we're here live, just to get a sense of where the chat's at, I got a couple names in mind. Let me know which one you guys would rather see. Amik Robertson, Marcus Davenport, Kevin Zettler. Which breakdown should be next? Or should it be Rakestraw? Those are the 4 I'm at. I don't know why I did my fingers like this. Or should it be Rakestraw? Should I go back to the draft? Those are where I'm at. I've kind of dabbled in all of them. Rakestraw is difficult because I've watched like almost his entire last season already, just preparing for the draft. So I'd kind of just be revisiting the same games. That's fine. I've just already done it. A lot of these other guys I'm watching like new things. So my Packers bud told me yesterday the only reason we had a top rush defense last year was we basically had 0 pass defense. Yo, what does that even mean, dog? No, hold up. No, wait. Yards per carry is how you should respond, dog. Efficiency. If you're looking at total yards, you could somehow, I think, twist that to make that make sense. But if you were looking at efficiency, that wouldn't make sense, right? Like that wouldn't make sense because then if anything, I'd be throwing more bodies. I'd be like, yeah, let's keep 2 deep safeties. I would think. That's awesome. Hey, yo, no, that's awesome, though. Just wait for next year. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of it was schematically, though. Seriously, though, Goff to the Wolves came back leading the pack. Okay. There's a... All right. I'm not, you don't understand why I'm laughing. That's cool. It's... Hey, no, it's facts, though. All right. Rakestraw or O-line? Robertson or Rakestraw? Okay, so I saw Rakestraw twice. I think we're going to go Rakestraw next. I'm going to wear the jersey when I do it. Zeitler's like on the way, though. Like, I'm working on Zeitler. I definitely want to do Davenport because I know Charles loves Davenport. So that's got to happen soon. It has to happen soon. Make sure I didn't miss out on anything else here. I think we hit on everything, though, man. I think this was good. Talk to the fantasy thing. I think we're going to do mock fantasies going forward. I think, well, not going every show, but like at some point. So if you guys want to join in that, anybody in the chat will be able to join. I'll send that. We'll do it through like Sleeper or something. And then I also may talk about free agents to keep an eye on. So maybe we'll do that. It's just a little bit difficult because we're loaded on the roster, like in terms of the amount of players that we have. So yeah, that's it, man. Enos up here featured. Okay, big old Enos. Okay. Oh, wow. That sounded crazy. Mike, I hope you picked that up properly. Wow. That's a good thing. That's a good way to end the show. All right. Hey, I appreciate y'all joining. Free agency watch. Okay. Next live stream, I'll have some names for you. Maybe I'll even go to names that like could become available. Maybe that's what we'll focus on. Names that could become available. Matthew Betts. Man, I already got the Matthew Betts video out. Or are you just saying like Matthew Betts can be that dude? Maybe that's what you're saying. Matthew Betts video's out though. Have a good day, Dose and chat. Appreciate y'all joining, man. And I'm going to play the intro on the way out just because I enjoy it. I think it's funny. I will see y'all tomorrow. That's the plan. We out.
The beat is solid, like a rock. Gives a... I was about to cuss. I can't cuss.
Oh my goodness, they're going up 2020!
Bro, whoa, they actually accepted that. This team will bounce back. It won't be because of Jared Goff that they don't bounce back.
Good enough for Detroit, Jay.
I will tell you that right now.
decision making. And for most people that want to question, I will say this: your team's probably not in this spot. So I'll just throw that out there. NFC this team isn't going anywhere, and they're